Okay, I'd like to call this village board meeting. If we could all rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll do a roll call. Mayor Nolan first, and you can just say it here. President Deputy Mayor Ashnault here. Trustee Leon here. Trustee Madison
Here.
Trustee Nowak here. Okay, can I get a motion for approval of the November 20th, 25 regular meeting minutes? A motion to accept them.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
And can I get a motion for approval of December 2nd, reorg meeting 2025?
So moved. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go move on to reports. I'll start it off. The mayor report had a online meeting with the project manager from Buffalo Army Corps of Engineers, with Don Reiling from Save Our Sodas and Dave Fontuso, I think it is, from the town of Huron. And just an update meeting on what's going on with the break wall. So they're about 60% done, as everybody can kind of visually see in some of the drone pictures we've been able to look at on Facebook. But yeah, they're going to probably need a couple more months to finish that project up. A surprise thing that came out of that meeting was they're going to move on to the west break wall afterwards, which I didn't know was coming. That's a nice surprise. So I don't have any time frame, but we're going to meet once a month, and I'll be able to give updates as we go in the early spring. I just want to do a shout out to Sodas, the village and the town. There's 6th annual parade that we participated in. You know, I want to thank Matt, John, who's a participant in it, and his family. Thank you very much. And the fire department. A couple of the clips that I saw, we had our fire department, which was, and our I think fire rescue people there. I saw a few people that I knew from the department, and I was blown away by the participation. It was huge. And it just kept going and going, and there were communities. I don't know how many communities were represented, but
45,
yeah, I mean, 40
folks.
yeah, 80 floats, spectacular. And it was nice of him in our reorg meeting. I don't know if anybody noticed, but he was here, Bob Conklin, and asked, you know, if we would participate. And you know, obviously John was gracious enough to do it from our. And I just wanted to do a little shout out to that. I thought that was awesome. Really excited to announce to the board and to the public that we were asked to give a presentation this morning to the Finger Lakes Council for the New York Forward Grant, and which basically means that we're a finalist for it, which is, you know, further than we've been in the past. So we are extremely excited. We had Bill Kedley, Ellen Farnham, Rich Ashnault, Sharon Lilly, and myself were the residents that presented this morning. And it was unbelievable. It was just a great experience. I'm sure all the communities felt that same way when you're up there representing and trying to, you know, secure some funding. But it was, when I say prideful, it's nice to hear all the different residents talk about our village in such a positive way. And I wanted Sharon just if she had a couple of things to say about the process, or, you know, how it went.
I thought they were pretty engaged with us, which is really positive. Sometimes you get into things like that, they're exhausted, they're going, you know, all day long as interviewers, but I think together collectively, we did a pretty good job singing praises of Sodas Point. We wouldn't have been at the table today if our application hadn't been very competitive.
Right.
I mean, you don't get to be a finalist unless all these people have read your application and determined on some level that you deserve to be funded. So this is not, certainly not a guarantee that
No.
we're gonna get money, but we've come farther than we ever have,
So
so,
step closer,
yeah, keep your fingers crossed, we should hear in January.
absolutely, thank you.
How many finalists were there?
Well, it's tough to know who was a finalist for New York Forward and who was a finalist for DRI, the $10 million one. We know the Village of Palmyra was there, we know the Village of Victor was interviewed, we know the City of Rochester was interviewed. I doubt the City of Rochester is going for 4.5 million, I'm sure they're a DRI community. But there are 8 finalists, and it's tough to know how it's divided between DRI and New York Forward. If I was to guess, I'd go 4 and 4, but you know,
We don't know, but that was our guess, that was our guess, but
I have
yeah.
no idea. I think one of the things that I don't know if this is false hope or what, but they have not funded a community on the Lake Ontario shoreline in the Finger Lakes region yet with this program.
So,
I just wanted to put something out there too. I don't know if anybody saw it. There was some there was some publication of or press releases by Victor and Palmyra preceding the interviews that took place today, and we were correctly advised by Sharon that that's a huge no-no, because the committees that are reviewing these things don't want anybody to know who you're up against. So the fact that Victor and Palmyra came out and said, we're in the running and all that beforehand, and we did not, was purposeful. It wasn't, and that's kind of why the announcement's being made publicly today, because those interviews took place this morning, so obviously it doesn't, that was the reason for the, you know, keeping it kind of on the down low for up until today no longer exists. So if anybody might have been wondering why we weren't tooting our own horn beforehand, that's why.
okay, yeah, thank you. Met with Jay Wispelier, and so is the yacht club about a drainage issue on Irwin Street. John Woodland, Jay and I talked about revisiting it in late March. We'll go down and take a look at it. Just a small drainage issue. I think we can get together and do a grading and not much on our property. So, yeah. And also met with Matt Jones regarding Mark Jones Park and possibly sharing expenses with auxiliary. Their expenses per month to have the porta potty down there is $153 a month. You know, said if we would be interested in that, and he went further. We might even be splitting it 3 ways because he's trying to get another organization to participate in that. So I think Tracy, you do something on it, so we might be able to work through that. So, yeah.
Contract.
Yeah. And Phil Leone, Josh Gregg, and I participated in the Western Regional Sewer Plant Tour in Palmyra. It's not fully up and going, but it's very close. I think this week or next week, I think, guys, they said that they were gonna bring Walworth on.
Yeah, almost.
But you know, the intermunicipal thing that started several years ago, unbelievable facility, expensive facility, but there was a lot of state funding, but the communities had to, you know, get behind it. And it was kind of eye-opening for us, you know, to see the processes and talk about some of the things coming down the road that we might hear a little bit later in some reports. So, and that's it for me. So, who's up next for reports? We have Deputy Mayor.
Sure. I just kind of wanted to, you know, reiterate the excitement surrounding this New York Forward thing. That's a huge deal. And we're, you know, very fortunate to have so many people who have their eyes on it. both from our community and from obviously the people who are gonna be showing the money out, and, that's very exciting. As far as planning and zoning, not a whole lot of action. There was an approved deck for the Wild Hacks out on Sill Shore Road. There was an approved pole barn from Mr. Green out on Margaretta Road. And I'm sure most people have probably heard by now that, Bruce Carey was denied a special permit for the shops on Bay Street down here. By the zoning board of appeals, and the reason for that denial centered around, the fact that there were several special permit uses. I think it was up to perhaps as many as 18 on the property, on a single parcel. So there was some concern about that, and obviously one of the things that gave rise to that concern is it's not, the zoning board felt it was not necessarily compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. And I don't really have a report on insurance or docks and moorings at this point. There's also, the planning board is also discussing, sorry to backtrack here, the planning board is also discussing proposed changes to the zoning code. And that is kind of chugging along, as these meetings go forward. They're trying to meet for an hour or so before the regular planning board meetings to go through the proposed code changes, and there will be a report coming from the planning board and discussions going back and forth regarding that. So I think that's about it for me.
All right, good. Thank you. Trustee Madison?
Fire department. There were 7 calls from mid-November to a couple days ago. Including motor vehicle accidents, ambulance assists, fire, gas leak, and a tree problem. Our boat is out of the water, the WR4 is inside the fire hall. The fire department will be hosting an ice water rescue class in January. So not only does our ambulance do special water stuff, but so does the fire department. Our New York Volunteer, I gotta read this carefully here, New York Volunteer Fire Infrastructure and Equipment Grant Program update. And also thanks to Sharon on this. Our total, so this had been reported on before, I'm just trying to update where we are at this moment. That total grant was $161,000. And that gave us 14 all-band radios. I know that they've changed frequencies, or that things have been upgraded and the old radios weren't even gonna work. In some cases, 14 radios is $114,000. The radios have been delivered, and the village has been reimbursed already for that. There's also included in this grant is 10 sets of turnout gear, that's $45,000. The vendor came and did some fittings because they're all custom. The orders have been placed. Things are starting to come in. Once the gear is here and inspected and accepted, then the village will pay the vendor, and then we can turn around and submit for reimbursement on that. There's a full page report on the city exactly if you want. A little more detail. Silverwater ambulance, in November, there were 5 calls, only 1 of them being billable. There's a lot of reasons why a call is not billable. For November, it's just kind of a cross, look at what it is. There was a mutual aid. There was a lift assist, there was a false alarm, and this is kind of a new thing that's starting, alarms go off. Apparently, we had one case where somebody's Apple phone or something, or Apple Watch was on the top of a car, took off, and the watch flew to the ground and set an alarm off. And so our ambulance went, it was, things like that, things that we never had to deal with before. And then a motor vehicle crash, no patient contact, I guess. I'm not sure what that was exactly. So Keith Egner, he's the director of operations. He's now certified as a CPR instructor, which is good. And stay tuned, hopefully we'll have CPR classes in the community coming. Silver Waters itself, is purchasing some updated and smarter mannequins. They're electronic and they'll let you know if you're doing CPR right or wrong. They've got 2 adult, 2 infant, and AED kits, practice AED kits, which is what you need with CPR also. But anyway, those are being paid for with money raised from donations to Silver Waters. You know, they had a fundraiser here a while, you know, in the last month or so, but anyway, so that does not come from village money. There's a new position, for an EMS business advisor to Silver Waters, was approved at this month meeting earlier this week. This is a position for somebody that has both, EMS, experience and leadership with Silver Waters. Bill Flush was appointed to this position. On tourism, I don't have much. Be safe on the bay, I guess,
Especially now.
especially now. Yeah.
It's frozen as it was 24 hours ago.
And I'll have the officers that comes further down.
For the new business, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks, good. CEO Rickville.
For November, I had 9 building permits and 2 new reviews. Total fees generated was $1,010. I didn't put it on here, but the other thing that we did, the state, as everyone knows, we have a new code update coming out. The gas ban is postponed, but the code is still coming out December 31st. So they mandated code update. I finished the 30 hours of code update. And that's outside of the training that's required. So that is completed as of last month as well.
Trustee Leon.
Right, well, quite a bit to report. We've been very busy the last 2 weeks. I've taken the oath of office. I've delved in with wastewater, water. So I have some additional notes from John Woodland. I must say, working with John Woodland, Kevin and Josh Craig have been a joy for everything. Everybody's been receptive, can-do attitude. Everybody's been trying to solve the problems and address the issues within the village, and I'm thankful
Oh, that's good to
for
hear.
that. It was really it was a really good experience. It'll continue to be, and the communication's been great, and it's been kind of voluminous because there's been a lot of things that have just not been addressed that need to be in. John's getting his feet underneath them, and people busy with snow plowing and everything, on top of it, water and wastewater, and just been a great experience. So Kevin's report here, the stakeouts have been completed by John Woodland and Josh Craig. Seasonal shutoffs have been completed as requested by whichever village employee is available. Reads on water meters done as requested by whichever village employee is available. The monthly report was completed and submitted by Phil Badman of the Village of Sodas. Daily samples have been done every day as required by BOH, Phil Badman, Preston Bright, Josh Turner. All of the Village of Sodas that have been working for us. 2 broken hydrants have been fixed. 1 needs a riser added to it. John Woodland has been replacing broken meters and readouts. All meters have been read. Leak detection company met with the village staff and found no leaks at this time. They gave Public Works Department spring work to do before they returned to visit. To revisit the activity again. Second connection in North Geneva Road design continues. More details are available from the engineer. They will share. For the month of November, Lake Road hydrant was fixed. Second Street hydrant was fixed. And when I added LVS, the leak detection company, I think they originally quoted us $2,400 a day, $2,450. They were very generous. They only put a couple hours in and charged us. I believe the final bill was $950. So we saved some money there.
Oh, that's good.
It was, he said some of they basically use it's like sonar. They attach hydrants and valves and listen for, their ears are trained like sonar people to listen for leaks, and he said a lot of our system was eerily quiet, which, you know, is no surprise because there's not a lot of people in town, but it also reflects that we don't have the leaks that we thought we had. So it was kind of like Mythbusters. We were out on the water main between the tower on Lake Road and Margaretta Road, and we've been told for years there's been a leak on that 10-inch main, and we went up and down it, four of us. Josh and I went one way, and Kevin and John went the other way from Centel Street. And we walked the whole thing. We didn't see any surface water. We did find a main belt that we didn't know existed just north of the trailer park. We listened on that. We listened on the 10-inch main coming out of the water tower. That's the only place that we had some noise. So the other work that Kevin speaks of here, we need more contact points along that main, and there's 1,800 feet of main, maybe a couple thousand. So
1,800 feet. Yeah,
so every 300 feet, they want us to dig down, find the main, and put basically what looks like a sewer clean outlet. It's basically a piece of PVC with a cap on it, so they can put their probe on top of the main and listen. Because it was kind of a long stretch between Lake Road and where we found that valve.
Yeah.
So it was kind of inconclusive.
Tells that get rid of all the trees, right?
No, we just gotta, you know, locate the main, dig down, and literally put a 3 or 4 inch pipe so they can stick this probe down and set it right on top of the pipe and listen. So, there's been questions if the end of Centel Street ties into that main. There's an old hydrant up there. It doesn't make sense that the water will be coming uphill from the bay. But again, it was kind of Soda's Point folklore. We witched it with the witching sticks, and there's, you know, it shows that the main's there. So we're probably gonna dig that tee up and confirm that we have a connection there. So yeah, we're gonna get that work done when time allows and have them come back and, you know, make a motion and do another PO, have them come back and listen. We're getting a handle on water, but 49% water loss seems to be a myth. We've established, you know, a lot of meters that weren't read, even mainly our own meters on all our own buildings haven't been read.
They've been estimated, right?
Yeah, they've been estimated. Kevin and the guys from the Village of Sodas found 4 1-inch services broken. On the main.
well, so the broken services we had, I would say 3 for sure broken, and then, oh, wait, are you saying the actual breaks that we fixed?
No, I was thinking Merrill's property, Crippen's property, and then the 2 yard hydrants.
Yard hydrants, and then we had the one up here that was wide open. I think we're at 6 that we had.
So we had like 6, you know, 3/4 1-inch broken services
Yeah.
unmetered underground, so we should hopefully see the reflection in that in our water loss or unmetered water. So I think we're gonna close the gap pretty quickly here, once we get the new meters we have in stock installed and continue to read everything. I don't think we're gonna be in as bad a shape.
And we're gonna read like the highway department,
Yes,
because obviously those guys use water.
wastewater.
And the sewer department.
Yeah, so.
Yeah,
That's
it's
water.
they use a lot.
Yeah, that John and I did that.
So that's not,
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
departments aren't gonna be involved.
Yeah, we never really read them.
But at least we're gonna close that percentage
Yeah.
gap. We got it. 10% an average for a community for us, and, you know, 49 it was reported, with just bad data. And it, you know, it had a lot of people up in arms about it, you know, what are we doing, but it's really, we just gotta get the meters read and figure out what's working, what's not.
Yep.
Moving on to wastewater, Josh gave me a tour of our facility. I didn't have a lot of experience in wastewater, but I've got a lot the last 2 weeks. You know, I went on the tour with you, Josh, and I went to the thing on the 17th and toured their facility. The main reason for that is our press, our screw press is inoperable right now because our pump will not prime. Later in the meeting here, I have a resolution for that. Our design seemed to be flawed from when we put it in 2019. I spoke with our engineer. We got some loose ends to tie up with the DEC report from last year, which Bob Elliott and I
He's working on it.
he's gonna work on closing that, but as the pump wears, or as you use the pump, it's gonna wear, and it makes it harder and harder to prime, which if you don't have any experience with priming a pump, it can be frustrating and difficult because you'll, you know, dump water into the pump or hook the water up to it, try and siphon this our solids from our solid tank over to it, and it doesn't quite get there, it doesn't catch the time, then you're doing it all over again as a pump. Gets out of tolerance, it could take 1, 2, 3 hours, you know, when he's, you know, it's frustrating, you're not getting it done, so. We went and toured Williamson's plant because they have a sludge tank that once they pump from their digester to this other tank, instead of priming with flooding their pump, they have a tank above. It's actually at grade, but they have the same press we have and the same pump we have. And there's no priming involved because it's automatically flowing tank, so I have a resolution for that. Which Elliot's also gonna approve that with the DEC, you know, if he needs to, he's just gonna notify him and see if we can do that. Other than that,
That's a lot.
yeah, but we're in compliance. I mean, TNT's been doing our testing. I've been down there twice with Tom from TNT. Looking under the microscope, you know, just learning the process, and you know, that way when they bring, hopefully we get to the point they bring something to me, I know what they're talking about. You know, I just want to, you know,
Yeah.
be knowledgeable enough that when they need a pump or they need equipment, we can, you know, I know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
So Josh has been doing a great job. He's getting ready to go to school at the end of January, and hopefully he's gonna take a refresher course and then take his wastewater course, and hopefully we'll have a licensed guy on staff. And the energy part of, you know, one of my other positions is, energy and climate. You know, our plant was built in 1976, and it's our largest electric bill in the village. I mean, there's a lot of meters that fall underneath it, but like this month alone, the distribution charges were $5,700. I gotta think the technology's gotten better since 1976 as far as blower blowers and that, so. I've reached out to the manufacturers of the blowers for the plant when it was built, and they're gonna come and do a free energy audit and give us a proposal on new motors with ROIs, which I have no idea the cost. I'm thinking they're gonna be really expensive, but. I'm hoping, you know, the ROI is there and, you know, it's a good long-term investment, we can do it. Kathy Hochul just released, $269 million for water infrastructure. I think there'll be zero interest, loans or grants or, but it's exactly the infrastructure that we're talking about as far as upgrading our line from, Dennis Sector connected.
To the second, yeah.
Geneva Road, and then, you know, maybe if these blower motors are
Be
the
part
thing
of
to
it.
do, you know, we can package something together and get a grant written and try and get that set.
What about the, things, like not the geo, but the, you said that one place gets free, energy.
Oh, so Williamson also, they must have, I gotta look into it, but they actually have solar panels dedicated just to their waste treatment plant because they are such an energy draw.
To lower that
Yeah.
expense that
Yeah.
they have, yeah.
Which I don't know what the ROI is on that. You know,
Right.
solar can be expensive,
I know
but,
some golf courses.
yeah.
All right,
so,
awesome. Busy,
yeah.
busy. Trustee Noah.
So it's besides the snow, plowing and salting and guys working over hours and all that, I had something I was gonna talk about, but I think John Woodland's gonna take over for me.
Yeah, so I mean, like Pat said, only update, obviously, there's been a lot of snow early this season, so been a lot of fun going on. It's snowing to where the guys were in here and it's been kind of, you know, we might get 1 or 2 inches, but the roads get slick, so, you know, making the call and we gotta make sure everything's safe. With the plowing and the salting, I wanted to touch on something. You know, possibly put out a sensible salting notice. There's been a notice going out that prices are going up and, you know, and the supply is going down. So right now we've procured 400 tons of salt for this season, which is our whole Wayne County bid. It's not all we can get. We have, you know, there's and other programs. But just we're gonna try and cut down a little bit, you know, on some of the salting and really focus on, you know, inclines and in intersections and stuff like that. So I was thinking maybe we could put out on the village Facebook or whatever, you know, on the village website that we're, you know, gonna work on reducing our salt usage and, you know, it's gonna require sensible travel too. I mean, it's a big thing in Europe right now. It's all over the place, so. So that's what I got for the salting and plowing. Hopefully the snow kind of backs off a little bit and we, don't have to go too crazy. Also with that, I've got some stuff that's gonna be, kind of future projects. Um. The chips, we're recertifying the distance for for our roads. I think we're a little under on our mileage as far as we took over from Bay Street Extension, taking over the loop that's now our responsibility to maintain. So I've got that paperwork that I've got to send in. And I talked with the lady from the DOT, so she kind of helped me along with that.
That's possibly a good thing.
Yeah, so I don't know how much of a difference it'll make, but it's gonna give us some more. I think it's only like maybe a mile and a half of more billable,
Yeah.
One highway. But either way, it'll be accurate, so. And then we're gonna work on trying to get that allocated for, some different projects, possibly Lake Road, stuff like that for the spring. These are spring projects, but I wanna start thinking about them and hopefully start making the phone calls and, get stuff. Set up for, to have the help that we need and. So. Another thing we're thinking about for the spring, these will probably come up again in future meetings, just finishing the municipal parking lot project. So just to keep that in mind, we're going forward, we gotta make sure we have the help we need. We're kind of relying on the county with that, working with Villager to get that completed. Like I said, that'll come up again in future meetings.
When you say spring, what do you think? I know it's a guesstimate, but what are you thinking?
Right, so I don't know when.
The end of
The best
April.
time to go when they start
Yeah, that's what I
opening,
was thinking.
opening plants and stuff like that. We're gonna work with Kevin Rooney from the county. We're gonna hopefully utilize that for some trucking help, as far as bringing in material. And then I know we can go back to that one. That's sidewalk stuff. And as far as the highway, I mean, that's pretty much what I've got now. I don't know, like, a lot of things, but biggest thing has been the snow removal. Really seeing for snow, so
That's what it is.
keeping that going. So.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it, everyone. That was good. All right, next segment, public comments. It's the time to, if you have something that,
It is me.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Come on up and,
Good evening to the board, good evening to the residents. Coming with my plea once again for my driveway issues. I brought imagery with me in case nobody got my emails, which I also brought a copy of, which go back to April 22nd of this year, where I sent a well-worded email indicating that we have water buildup because of the new curves. While we're passing pictures around, I'll give you this one as well, which shows what the current state is, and frankly, it's not just our property, which is a problem. There's water buildup all around the streets between 8601 and 8605 on the north side and on the south side. I've been bringing this up for a while. It's a safety problem. We didn't have this issue before, and I attacked it in April because we knew that we had a hip replacement happening. We're a house of handicapped people, and the ice buildup last winter was just terrible, as you can see in the imagery. And because the village didn't follow up on anything, we have in fact installed a new driveway ourselves. So I'm asking for half of the bill, which was $3,800, but that includes removing the old driveway. Originally, it was actually Jake Whistler. He suggested I just ask you guys if you could just put some asphalt on top of it while fixing other street parts. And then nobody really followed up. So I'm here once again with my plea. I know that things like this have happened in the past as well, because I brought a copy of a meeting from this is the date, July 5th, 2023, where a gentleman called Larry Monheim at 8571 got his lawn fixed because he didn't care for the color of his grass after construction vehicles were parked on it. Apparently that was approved a few years ago. And then I brought a copy of the bill with me. And that's my case for the day. We really didn't, it's all about the safety. That's the problem. And those pictures prove that ice last year was terribly dangerous. You couldn't stop it, it happened overnight with thaw during the day. And then the next morning, the cars were frozen in place. So We didn't have the issue before all of this curb stuff, and I know that there's drainage problems all around the point, which is an issue because the engineering company or whatever went haywire back then. And so, I don't believe it's our full responsibility for that, dangerous situation. That's it.
I went out there and shot a.
Oh, yeah, big shout out to him because he did come the day after I came to the first meeting to talk about it. He did all the measurements and he agreed with me.
I did a laser and the curves were 2 inches higher than 8 feet into his driveway. So that area would always hold water.
It's actually a pain in the butt with the new driveway now because it is in fact flat with the entrance to the home now and you can't open the door with snow, so we don't even like the new driveway, but we needed to put it in. It would have been nice if the curb worked in the first place.
So the curves were set too high. So his
Yeah.
place would puddle water.
Even though we have a drain right in front of the house.
So
I noticed that it had a drain, I walk there all the time.
Exactly.
I walk in front of your place all the time.
it was like 8 feet back after I shot the laser, it would never be.
Yeah,
So you needed to pitch it from at least 10 feet or better to get it to work.
yep.
So the driveway that's in now,
Is a new driveway.
it's pitched properly?
Yes, now it works great. There's an image of that, of the new driveway as well.
How is your property, prior to the, street project?
Well, you know what? We actually have one of the tallest properties on the point as far as I know. So we didn't have standing water when the flooding happened.
You did?
No, it was soggy, but it wasn't standing water.
And what was your surface like before?
It was an asphalt driveway.
You had an asphalt
Yeah.
driveway prior, yeah.
Well,
Gotcha.
you can see it.
That's the prior driveway, exactly.
Oh, okay, all right.
And that's pictures from this week. Yeah,
I neglected, I saw this and I meant to pull the W830 drawings to see if the contractor actually, because they had a driveway schedule.
Yeah.
So they had to do corrective measures on the drains, on the slopes of the driveways, some of the driveways, they had to cut back 6 or 8 feet. L Hendricks, they had to put a drain in and pour concrete in an apron and tie it into the storm system, otherwise you could go forward in the road.
Well, there's a lot of water, standing water on that road.
Yeah, the road's holding water, but I didn't confirm that the contractor actually did the driveway, so what he was supposed to. Some people got,
Here's the curve right there at that point. So back about 8 feet. This was down about 2 inches, so the water couldn't get over it. So this would hold water
yeah.
So it wouldn't come down to this point because of this.
because that curve was too high.
And if you look at the chunks
So
of
what they
ice,
should have done, I mean, normally when you do projects, the place will fix up the other people's property, knowing it's not draining properly.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, obviously,
drainage
they
driveway.
came in and
closed
they
that
came in, they got
contract.
out,
Yeah,
you
they
know,
closed that
but
contract.
this was pretty much.
Well,
Without
even
that.
if they went, they should have went at least halfway up his driveway in order to get the water to drain.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fact he's got a drain right in the middle of.
Because
his
they were,
driveway.
as you know, and I know, because I'm down there, they had small, they did like small aprons, you know, when they.
yes,
did
I've
that.
seen those, exactly.
You know, I had that done.
Sort of like scalloping going in, right?
Yeah.
It worked for some people, but it definitely didn't work in this situation.
Yeah.
No,
That was never gonna work. And ripping the curb out was probably not gonna be a good idea either.
That was gonna be the next question, like, was that an option?
I mean, you would have had a grand.
It would have been more expensive, I think.
I mean, is the drain in a good location, like height?
Catch basin.
Yeah, the catch basin.
Yeah. it looks-
Well, I mean, it's set up for how they had it, but if you look around that whole area,
If, yeah, the picture from this week. the
that whole
snow
area was done. I mean,
Well,
Well-
and this project's been closed out and everything, correct?
Yeah,
but it was like that, you said from the beginning.
yeah, it was holding water from the beginning. The only defense I can give with the contractor, Soda's Point is flat. So when they design a road, they have to have low points and high points, so there's undulations in the road. So, you know, some of the water's gotta come to these drains, some's gotta go to the next drain, you can't just. It was challenging from an engineering standpoint, but like I said, we could probably pull the plans and. You know, maybe the contractor didn't follow the driveway schedule because they mapped it out. Some people had to get full concrete aprons and drains put in their driveways in order to get the water out of their property, so. You know, this isn't unheard of. You know, it's not, you know,
When was the project completed?
2021, believe.
Yeah, they signed up for
Yeah.
that a long time, 5 years.
And I provided hundreds of pictures at my own expense to the board as things were failing. that I didn't think should get approved for payment. Which some things they came back and fixed. But, you know, it was well documented all the way through and it fell on deaf ears, nobody wanted to. The problem is we were lacking a construction manager, so the engineer was kind of watching his own work, which if it was an engineering problem, we weren't gonna know about it, and the contractor would have, you know, the contractor's trying to get paid, so he's putting his payment applications in, so he's not gonna wrestle with the engineer. We really needed an intermediary.
Yeah.
in between.
All right, but let's talk about the here and now. We're a new board.
I know, and
New
I'm very
mayor.
excited about it.
And, you know, we need to make whether we need more time to discuss, whatever, you know,
Even after seeing the work, you know, and it's clear, I mean, you can't change what is there. And it's, I mean, they put the project in, and the guy's holding water on his property now, I mean, that's not right. So like if I build a house and all of a sudden I put forced water on somebody's property, I can't do that. You know what I mean? So we can't get that, the engineering is supposed to be done the right way, and it wasn't my act on it. And if that was a problem, it should have been fixed by the Ready project.
I've sat through these meetings, I mean, we've had, water leaks underneath, you know, our water system that people have gotten new floors in their houses.
Yeah.
Cause they, you know, they prove the point that, you know, our water leak caused their floor to work.
Then we get a chance.
I mean, the Larry Monheim situation, I mean, his grass didn't match.
No, yeah, I know.
$1,000 because the grass didn't match, I mean. That wasn't a physical hazard, this was actually a liability created
But
by
it's
his project.
cracks with the ice and
So a precedent kind of
Draining.
inside.
you dealt with it for a few years.
Yeah,
Not the first time.
Definitely, and it was pretty bad last year.
She had a hip.
She had a hip replacement. We've had the ambulance come and visit us probably 6 times this year. So we're frequent at strong memorial. And we can't leave the house if it's icy out there, so we put a new driveway and it's done now. I just think that we should be compensated a little bit for it. And I'm asking for half of the bill, that's all.
thanks, Rich.
The hard part is. I don't like the. I don't like the fact that somebody was given $1,000 because their grass was the wrong color.
Neither do I.
And. You know, that should not be. A precedent, in my opinion. You know, the fact that this is all closed and everything is also a big problem. To me. You know, I mean, there's a certain amount of, now that so much time has passed and I'm not familiar enough with what went on in the interim to really, give a real educated opinion right now, I don't think. I mean, I obviously know what the problem is and I've heard what a few people have said the problem came from. I don't know enough, to me, right now, I don't know enough about the history of the thing and how long this has been going on and to whom complaints were made and whether it was timely done before the project was closed and all those kinds of things. I mean, now, you know, if this is an engineer problem, we don't really necessarily have any recourse against the engineer.
I think that's what went wrong with the last government, that they were trying to, it was gonna take way too long, but there was an attempt potentially to get money from the state to pay for this.
Yeah.
Et cetera. Maybe if you wanted to discuss this next month again and stop by and look at the property and the neighboring properties that still have the issue, but not as bad as we do. The whole, you know, several
Well,
houses.
I mean, that's, you know, that raises another can of worms is, you know, what's gonna happen next week when somebody else decides, all right, well, I want something too. And I'm looking at it also from the standpoint of, is it something that it is really an issue to be dealt with by the village at this point versus some other avenue, and that's, I don't know the answer to that. That's why I'm a little bit.
My irritation simply comes from my original suggestion, which was while you guys are fixing potholes, throw a layer of asphalt on my property, call it a day. Nobody did it though.
Yeah, well, that's
I
not
asked for that to happen
necessarily
in
the,
April. What would that have cost? Couple $100?
but that's not necessarily a correct way to go about it either. You know, that,
How much of this is in village right away, if you know? You guys own right
They,
away?
we lost property. Property was taken away from us with the new curves and the new streets. We used to be able to park 2 cars behind each other, now we can't. And we've donated our property for construction vehicles over the past 35 years. We've done good.
So the reason why you really came out and said anything, because your mom broke her hip, right?
Well, she was planning on a hip replacement, she
Right.
couldn't walk, he's got vertigo, so he needs a walker. And he'll fall over even without ice on the ground.
So they've been dealing with this problem for a few years.
And the next time Bill Kalush
Now
comes
it's
to pick
just
us up,
been-
he's gonna fall off, he would have fallen over also on the icy driveway, you know?
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was, it wasn't.
It wasn't like it was,
Safe place.
you know, it was built in multiple inches of ice. I mean, it's not an easy kill, especially if it,
But unthaws and freezing, unthaws and freezing.
you know, the insult, the injury, the drain is right there. The water's gotta get to the drain.
Yeah,
you
so-
know.
I understand the issue, I understand the issue very well. The problem that I'm having is what's the proper way to solve the problem? And whose responsibility is it, and is there any recourse?
Unfortunately, the maintenance period was up, the final payment was made, the bond was released, I know we were holding it for a while. But then I think Tracy, didn't they take legal action on us, the contractor, to give the base of the final retention in that? But they said, we gotta let, you know, they wanted their money.
2 years.
Well, and
We-
was
we-
this an issue that was on the table at that point?
There was a lot of issues, but like I said, we didn't have a construction manager, so nobody was fighting for the village, it was just. You know, that was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of problems with this ready project.
I don't think it's just by the sound of it, we were ready to make a decision tonight.
Yeah, I'd like to learn a little more
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
fine,
and-
absolutely.
And
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you again, stop by,
Yeah. Thank you for coming
look at
in.
the rest of the points. To see if we are the minute case or if there's other.
I
that
understand
People might wanna bring up.
the apprehension here, and I think it's not just looking at it as maybe the next rainstorm. We take a ride around, like a couple of us, and take an inventory and see how big of a problem this is.
Today would have been, today with all the
Yeah,
thought.
because here's the problem, Peter, you know, we do it for you, and there's 10 or 12 more of them.
Oh,
and
that's-
We just don't.
No, I understand.
Insurance for that, so I think we gotta look and see what the exposure really is.
Right, exactly, that's
And then-
part of what I'm
and then-
getting at
Yeah.
here.
Right,
You know,
Oh,
you know,
and-
the fact that we approved the grass thing was ridiculous.
Good, isn't
I
it?
just, you know,
But we'll get back to you. Okay?
Oh, that's great, I appreciate it.
I definitely will.
Thank you.
Did it,
Thanks, Peter.
whether
Thank
it's
you.
office, whatever.
We're gonna get it.
I will do that. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you as well, happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Anybody else? Public comment?
You want to do the motion? I know there's people,
Anybody online?
well, I got a meeting with, you want to do. So. All right, they can unmute now.
Any other public comments at this time?
You guys can unmute online if anyone wants to.
Not hearing anything? Let's move to old business.
All right, do we need a motion to close public comment? No. No.
So we. This one from Matt, it's the old business Walter, roof damage update, Second Street and right away. Ash tree or.
Did they come up with what, from the people that did the camera work, did they say that there's a leak into the sewer? You know, maybe that's blocking it? That's
Did
what
you
we're,
talk to them?
I never talked to
You
them.
didn't talk to them?
No. Did they ever come back and say they? Like,
They were supposed to talk to
we
me.
pretty much denied it, didn't we, last time?
I thought we were waiting to see if they had pictures, because the last
Yeah.
expense that they had was a scope.
Yeah, they have something from the Rose River people that
Was
went
it the
there and
letter or
said,
the main?
So are they gonna contact you?
I
Or
think
are
it
they
was
gonna
the latter.
contact?
nobody did.
They contact Matt.
I'm just checking what the last.
I'm not sure.
I thought that's what they. Mm.
Because it sounds like they rent that place a lot and it gets plugged because of their people they rent it to. That's what it sounds like, but not just, can't work and then not work and then work and then
Put
not.
16 people in that place, I believe, was it's
I mean,
advertised.
once the root's in that sewer, it's on deal. You know what I mean? If it's messed up, it's not gonna work. You know what I mean? Period. It's gonna break all the time.
So the last thing they were supposed to talk, Ted Walters plumber was supposed to talk to Matt Nowak. Because the plumber didn't save the photos, but he would indicate that there was. So that was the last they thought.
Did he charge for it?
He took, I mean, he scoped it, he didn't,
It's been going on since 2019. So there was like a clean out in 2019. So when I looked through it, there's like 6 different times the guy was there or somebody was there.
okay,
So it wasn't just, it just didn't just started happening.
Was it
Back in
jetted or was it?
2019, I don't,
Okay.
there wasn't enough description.
So
That's why I said it
This
wasn't.
street got him gone now?
No.
No,
Apparently
it's
they're not.
saying, it's been going on
Like that.
He was to take it down.
he just
himself.
wants permission to remove the tree, we don't take down healthy trees.
Can't
So he
remember.
wants permission to remove the tree or split the cost with us. So either remove the tree or split the cost with us, he just wants to know what he's able to do. But the last meeting, Matt, like, he wanted proof that it.
Well, I don't think the roots are in the, I don't think that's what's causing it. I think it's.
I don't know, the lateral goes right underneath the tree, so I don't know. So he just wants.
It's been happening since
Is there room to
2019.
reroute the lateral or not? To get around the tree or
We'll
not?
go, I mean, he would have to
Big
make a
tree.
Why not?
3 foot diameter,
What's that?
so he just wants to know what to do.
Oh, he could take the tree.
So that's what-
Yeah,
Why would
I
I
don't
don't
think we
let
should
him take
take
the tree down?
No, he's saying that.
That's what he was asking for last meeting, he just wants permission to do it or split the cost with you, that's what he's asking.
He wants to take it
I
down.
was giving permission.
There you go.
You know, as long as he plants a new tree, how's that?
Just have to
Not
make
the
sure
same
that we
spot.
have attorney write up something,
Yeah.
like.
Or donate a new tree somewhere else that it can be planted in. the
So
village.
Kevin, that, you know,
What? I'm sorry.
we'll go along the lines of him, you know, giving.
So we got a
permission
motion
to
to
take-
do that?
Is there any impediment to, because the tree's in the right of way, correct?
Which is us.
So it's the village's tree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there anything that says we
don't-
should not be allowing people to cut trees down?
You just have to give permission.
It's your, everything in the right of way is
Yes,
yours.
the village, you just.
So we give him
Give
the
him
permission to
permission.
do it.
But we should have
We'll do it through,
I mean,
an agreement.
we'll do an agreement.
it's almost preventive maintenance if it's a tree that's gonna be dead in a couple of years
Well, yeah.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, there's a lot of trees that go over
Is an ash.
sewers and mains and all that.
I mean,
no, I know.
It's the roots everywhere.
So we had the, yeah, that's what.
That thing's been plugging up since 2000.
Everything.
Just make a motion.
The first year I bought Margaret.
No, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we're ready, we're ready to move on.
Make a motion that the homeowner can
Yeah.
remove the tree at his own expense.
Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll do the discussion pieces. We'll contact the lawyer and, you know,
Yeah, right, so-
draw something up, okay?
Get these.
We, the board to be on to new business.
All right, so yeah, B, just before we get off of B on that's
Yes,
your 8603.
Yes, mhm, correct.
Okay, all right, so.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we're checking
okay,
that box.
yeah. So the next step will be new business, and I think I'll start off with, I think everybody had a copy dealing with professional service contract, for village attorney. If you take a look at that, I need a motion to contract with, Knox Law, in particular, one of her partners, Amy Kendall, would be our attorney for January 1 through December 31, 2026.
It was like $950 a month.
Yeah, the monthly charge is $950 a month for beer. The services as far as hourly rate. You know, competitive, it was 300 if it's a partner, 250 if it's an associate, 200 if it's a paralegal, that's in the neighborhood.
Mhm.
So is there a motion?
Well, and that, it just for the sake of, comparison, we have a letter of engagement, a proposed letter of engagement here for United St. Martin
Yeah.
at 1854
A month.
monthly,
Yeah,
and 250 an hour. So, I mean, it just from the standpoint of, you know, numbers, it would seem that not Shaw would be a definitely more affordable for the village and cut the monthly almost in half.
That's about 11,500, yeah.
I like the savings. I would just like to see in the future. I know she had a good referral from the town of Sodas, but. Maybe we create RFPs in the future and, you know, reach out to. You know, first of all, define our needs
Mhm.
and then.
Yeah.
You know, because we've got a lot going on with planning, a lot going on with zoning. I think we gotta establish what our needs are. In the future and, you know, maybe contact the other attorney, you know, as many attorneys as we can in Wayne County and. See what's out there and see, you know, let people come in and give us some proposals and. You know, the money speaks here and, you know, the firm is substantial, it's not like, you know, so. But yeah, it's the only apprehension I would have. The only thing I would request in the future, next year when we go to review this, maybe we create an RFP and get some other proposals.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
Right,
All right, I just would like to add, the credentials of this firm and this particular attorney also come very highly recommended, from multiple municipalities around here, around the area for which they do the same work. So it's not as though we're just, you know, at least for me, I'm not just making the argument based on a financial issue here either. This is the type of work that they do and specialize in.
yeah, they do a lot.
and it's, you know, like I said, it came highly recommended, but. Is someone willing to offer us more services, you know, be it more board meetings, more planning and zoning board meetings, you know? Maybe and then in that RFP, that's where I would say, you know, if there's a couple fence applications on a planning board meeting, you know, you don't have to be here, but if you got something that's gonna be contentious and special use permits and.
Yeah, she'll be willing to come out, yeah.
But
They got all the knowledge.
setting that parameter for expectation,
Yeah.
but if we're not pushing and pulling with whoever we hire. I think it's good, you know, to set expectation.
Motion, we move forward.
Second,
To retain North Shaw as the village attorneys for January 1 of 26 through December 31 of 26.
A second.
all in favor?
All right,
Okay.
And then it's obviously in transition, and you know, that Matt's, St. Martin will be through, so if we need any legal advice or, you know, he's available to us till the 31st, okay? And there's gonna be a transition between the two, obviously, and anything that's outstanding, he's gonna share with Amy and go from there, okay?
Yep, so.
Kathy, I think is the next one, Silver Waters driver, I think we have to, maybe have a motion to.
Yeah, does anybody want to look at this? We have a Michael Lowe. Lives in North Rose. He's, has previously been in EMS. Wants to volunteer, for Silver Waters and eventually would like to take an EMS course and get certified again. So he wants to get back into it. But we have to approve him as becoming a member of Silver Waters. And I'd like to make that motion that we approve, this is volunteer position, Michael Lowe as a member, so that's the way I need to word it, member of Silver Waters.
If we,
Yeah, yeah, and he could start out, well, he needs some training still, but he could start out as a driver and. You know, to run a full crew, you have to have a EMT,
Different,
and then
yeah.
you have to have somebody else, either driving or an EMT that, you know. So you have to have two people to run a crew, so, he would be. Certainly an asset, and he would like to get back into it, he doesn't have the medical at the moment.
And Silver Water
You can
says,
get that.
They have approved it on the second page of the both membership, and the board has signed off and approved him. And actually, I'll have another one maybe next month too.
Okay,
So-
well, second your motion.
All right,
all in favor?
Aye.
all right, maybe appointment.
Kathy?
Appointments, okay. I can just read through this. We have to approve the officers for the fire department and for the ambulance. For 2026 fire department, chief is Mark Jones Jr., first assistant Brian Williams, second assistant Dan Motler, third assistant Chuck Sargent. I think we use in one, yeah.
Yes,
Okay, Silver Waters, the ambulance officers, president is Tom Pecumpa. Vice president is Jack Mattice. Treasurer is Sherry Pelush. Director of operations is Keith Agner. Secretary is Lori Hayden. Membership liaison is Janine Fogarty. It's a new position, EMS business advisor to the board, Bill Pelush. And assistant director of operations is Corey Fox. And I would.
I move to approve the fire and ambulance appointments as just read.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Kathy. Okay. Next item, which one, this one?
Quotes for water supplies.
Okay, we got quotes for water department supplies, or John. Talk about that inventory list.
Yeah, so we built some inventory in the water department in case of emergency. This is very, very scaled down inventory from what we actually paid for, but this is, the idea is if we have a water main break in the middle of the night or off hours when it typically occurs, we have some stock here. So hopefully you make a timely repair. So I believe do you have the quotes in front of you?
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all got it.
Yeah, and I had them here and so if you see, there's one from, T-Mine comes in as the lowest quote. They were kind of throwing some stuff together to make up what we needed. And they have a little bit cheaper products, so the next lowest quote is gonna be FW Web. And, we're looking to go with that quote for the order.
It's all the same quantities, all the same stuff.
Yeah, it's different materials, and from what I've gathered, I talked with the water service guys, with the team on this, they use a little bit different products, cheaper products, and also they didn't have, we have a lot of Mueller, or excuse me, Kennedy fire hydrants, and they didn't have the exact repair kits for those, so they were kind of piecing stuff together.
Mm.
From a standpoint,
They
what's more functional for the smaller,
they're not a Kennedy dealer, so they didn't have,
Yeah.
they didn't have the guts and the full repair kit. They had the shear bolts and the shear kits, which would be. Same.
So it's less quality.
No, it's just, they don't have all the, they're not a dealer for hydrants we have, so. That's how we walls probably.
yeah,
But if
yeah,
they're
and that,
piecing stuff
you know, have
together-
like there's they had.
I mean, do I want to replace those water going with less quality?
We use FW Web, we've used them in the past, they're one of the companies that.
I would think it'd be better to use something that's, you know. If you replace it, not a pot together, that's my thought.
Right, and I don't know what that total,
Yeah,
I think,
$10,000
but for the price difference, I suggest that we go with that W1 quote, I mean, it's the next lowest one as well, so.
Yeah.
And we dealt with the company before, we ordered, I obviously they have, they're, we needed update.
Which one is?
So,
FW, we're looking to go with FW.
yeah, and that's
We're about $1,200 difference.
12,580.
I've had a lot of experience with this company. And so fair.
I mean, I guess that's there.
Yeah. Tax. 13, right, okay, 550. And then, minus 11. Foreign meetings, that was the highest one. Foreign meetings, 14,008.
We'll buy the better stuff. Then if I'm gonna leave it in the ground, I want.
Tracy, are we obligated to take the lowest bid in the situation?
No.
I motion we accept that W Web quote and,
My second.
All in favor?
I,
Thank you. Thank you, John. Yeah. The next, I'm gonna, it's the Tracy, but it's more of a discussion. I don't want people to panic. It's just one of the things you start the process with, obviously we haven't had any budgetary talk for the next year. So, people can take this the wrong way, but, we have had it on the agenda, the tax cap override discussion.
Want me to- I've been here.
Yeah, why don't you dive in a little bit?
All right, essentially, thumbnailing this whole thing, there's a law that basically says any local tax rates, and tax levies cannot exceed 2% of the year before, or actually the lesser of either 2% above the year before, or the rate of inflation, whichever is less. It's a little more complicated than that, because there are some adjustments that can be made for changes, investments, new construction, things like that, so it's not a straight 2%. But what ends up happening is, if there is that 2% can be overridden by a supermajority of the board. It's just cumbersome to do that, because we won't know that it's something that we may or may not request or need until the budget gets done. So what we're trying to do here is just kind of get out in front of this thing to say, look, we may need, and sorry, backing up just a little bit. You can't approve, you can't vote on that supermajority after you approve the budget. It has to be done before. It can be done theoretically on the same day by prior vote as adopting the budget. But we just kind of wanted to get out in front of this thing and say, we may have to have a resolution at some point, it's not going to be tonight, that says we are going to look to override that 2% or rate of inflation cap. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. That does not mean we are doing it, but we have to authorize ourselves to do it. And then we have to have a resolution at some point based on real numbers with the budgets as they come in. So this is not something that we're in a position to vote on right now. We don't have enough information, obviously. But what we may have to do at some point is just have a resolution that says, if we need to, we will exceed that cap. And apparently, just, we were talking about this before, this has been done and discussed before the budgeting process, going back a number of years, but for the last few years, it has not. So we're just trying to kind of bring it back into the forefront, so people are kind of aware of this issue and know kind of the basis of the law, and why this is something that needs to be done in advance of approving the budget, maybe.
Right.
If that makes any
So I
sense.
think is there, have we been reassessed all the properties?
No, but
January, I'll have the
Sure.
numbers.
yeah,
Beginning of
so,
January.
you know, like my house, a new house, my
Right.
assessment is gonna
I don't know,
obviously,
man.
so my assessment obviously is gonna go up. And the tax rate is then based on, you know, what the levy's gotta be and all that kind of stuff, so it's kind of back into it. But the core number, the budget number is not supposed to go up by more than that 2% or the rate of inflation.
What's that rate right now, do you know?
I have no idea. I have no idea. And it's very complicated too, because theoretically, you can push the increases. If like we have not gone up by even 2% in past years, you can push that percent and add that to the 2% that you can go up, and there's all kinds of crazy math that goes on. But at the end of the day, the reason,
How many years back can we go and add that? Use one?
no, it's a number of years. I don't know how much it is.
Mm-mm,
No,
mm-mm,
that's the way it initially was.
mm-mm. No.
So with all the new
Once
houses,
you-
we are revenue.
So I just,
They have a
out of
reassessed.
curiosity, I started looking back.
Like, what was the tax on a building?
Tax
Assessor.
tax rate, yeah. So once you leave, so in 2019, our tax rate was 4.75. This year was 4.97. So from 2017 until this year, we've left money on the table. We haven't used it
Okay.
to go up to what we're allowed.
2%,
The one,
right around that,
1 to
1.9 to
2%.
2%.
So, you know, and some of it, like 2017, we left $4,743. Not a lot, we just left it. So, and what we left was because the assessment, back in from the assessment into what your tax, you know, what you collect for your levy. And we wanted to keep, you know, the goal has always been to keep it right around the same, similar. So they just, you know, left that on. So this year we left $13 on the table. So we'll have that to work with this year.
Yeah, but how many years back can you go? Just one?
Just one.
And so we got $13.
So there's a carryover.
There you go.
It's a carryover and that it's all in a calculated spreadsheet. Like I have assigned, yeah. And yeah, so we have,
And
just because we were talking about it, so I kind of pulled it out. And we have, you know, for years and years, we used to do, the first folder that I showed was 2010. And that was when they started talking about doing the tax cap. And then it was, I think it was 2014.
it went in,
Was the actual, what, like.
it was 2012 it
Yeah,
started.
so we had to start reporting and showing what we were doing.
Right.
And so we did the override every single year at the very beginning. And then, you know, when the assessments come in, if it goes up, then we're in a good standing. It's always, you know,
But again.
as far as the rate goes.
Correct.
Doesn't mean we can collect more than 600,000. That's our, you know, unless you do the override.
Right,
What
right.
is our levy rate on 623 or 643?
No, it's not that much, I don't.
So just
What-
broad figures for conversation, I don't know how many people, so it's like, let's say let's use the number 623 for conversation. Tonight, we're paying bills of $143,909. That's just 1 month,
And
you know, and we've been, I'm sensitive to taxes, I mean, I know multiple properties in town, but at the end of the day, we just gave raises across the board, which were needed. You know, our employees, it costs far more to go get a new employee than repaying what you have, so if you got good players that are doing their job. We gotta keep them or someone else is gonna take them. And I just, in this day and age, I mean, with the escalation of everything across the board, I mean, we haven't been moving the market, we don't have a lot of money. And it serves.
So the new assessments might change.
Well, but the assessments don't,
It
the
just
assessments
means-
have nothing to do with it. That's just the
So this-
basis to figure out how much you have to collect from each person. So the budget is what it is. So the budget is gonna determine what the tax rate is. So it's the assessment, but it's really that number that you need to collect in order to take care of the.
So here's the other.
business of the village.
And the other side of it is revenue.
So here's the other.
Right, and there's just, you know, nobody wants taxes to go up, but everything that your tax dollars go to pay for have gone up.
Much more
So,
than.
right, much more than 2%.
Much more than that.
You know.
Yeah.
So
you
for
know, if
broad
we're buying-
shocking, we just gave 3% raises. We had, I think our gross payroll is like 443,000 for everybody. Is it?
I don't know.
I think last year was $443,000. If our levy's only 623, and that's not all our revenue, our total budget tops out at like 1.2. 1.1, 1.2. It's really not a lot of money to run, you know, to do all the things that we do here. And if we're talking about infrastructure improvements and really getting a handle on road maintenance and sidewalk repairs and things of that nature, we need money to do it. You know, otherwise it's gonna degrade under our feet. We have a culture of repairing the failure around here instead of maintaining to schedule. And if we're ever gonna get a handle on that, we gotta start maintaining our stuff to a schedule. Instead of, and this will come forth when I do the water plant stuff here shortly. You know, it's repair to schedule or replace the failure. Replace the failure is expensive. So we need dollars to do it. I hate to, you know, real estate taxes are my single biggest expense in life. I hate them, but I also know that running this village, and if we're gonna maintain the village, to maintain our sovereignty and not get into one of these situations like Wolcott trying to dissolve their village, we need money and the services, we're gonna need money to support our employees. You know, our pension contributions, I mean, you know, there's people on our retirement, you know, unfunded pension contributions, I mean, it was $71,000 today.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
and that's not going away, that'll increase the more people we have. You know, and I don't know how many tier 1 people we have in our retirement thing here, but I mean, we're paying for those people, and that's. And that's an expense we can't control, the state sends us a bill, we gotta pay it.
So I think, yeah,
So-
that ignited some discussion and I think that's good information for all of us, you know, including the public to hear. But yeah, this wasn't, this was just discussion for a later day. You know, we're gonna start the budget process as soon as late January, mid-January or something. So, yeah, we're gonna start right away, so.
Yeah, and it's also kind of a signal to everyone who may be listening or wish to talk to people. If you're listening and you know people who are not, the budget season is coming up. And that's gonna be all public comment, and it's gonna be, we're gonna wanna hear from people, we're gonna wanna know what is important to people and what is not. And that's part of the next few months, what our job is here, and you know, no one likes to see taxes go up, but you know, as I said before, everything's getting expensive. So it becomes harder and harder to,
Maintain service.
yeah, to not have your taxes, you know, to run the village at the same amount of money as, we've been doing it for the past 10 years or whatever it is, just, it's impossible. So might taxes go up? Sure, they might, but it's not a guarantee they will, but, you know, be involved, people, whoever can hear me.
Yeah. That's a good way to close.
But we also have to hold ourselves to a higher level of accountability from purchasing and, you know, making the most of, efficient time with our employees and our payroll. And everybody's, you know, gotta be well aware of that, you know, if we're raising taxes, people's radar is gonna be up, and all our rank and file and everybody is working for us has to be aware of that. You know, everybody wants raises, but we have to do the job.
Oh, yeah.
You know, otherwise, the community will push back on us, and then, you know, we can't keep giving raises if the community's disgruntled and we're not doing the services, not providing the things that people need and we're letting our herbs and water systems crumble underneath our feet, we're not doing our job in government, and a lot of it's been let go for too long. So we gotta do the right thing with the money if we do.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's go to wastewater quotes for submersible pump repair.
I'll take this. So our main lift station has larger pumps. We have 13 lift stations that have a smaller pump, which we have a brand new backup for. Our main lift station, which all the other ones drain into, from my understanding, I'm still hitting the ground, getting my feet under me with this. We do not have a spare large
That's the one.
pump for our lift station. It's been at the manufacturer for rebuild since the middle of the summer. It got tabled. Looking, Tracy needed a few more. She needed documentation. The problem is there's only two companies and they're both owned by the same people.
Oh,
So it's kind of proprietary. We don't have, am I saying that, right? So the choice we have is we rebuild the one that's there, which they assessed it and said it's rebuildable. It comes with a 1-year warranty. The thing we do have to verify is that a 1-year warranty from when we put it in service, because we don't need it right now. But when we need it, we gotta put it, we have to have it on hand. So I want to check on that, make sure, it was something that just came across my mind earlier.
Same thing with the new one. Like we bought a new one. and-
Yeah, I gotta just make sure it's from an in-service state, because if we get one with a 1-year we haven't rebuilt a 1-year warranty, we don't put it in for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then we put it in and it failed, now we just threw $11,000 away, so. But the new one is 28.8, and that's a previous quote that what Sprague got, and I use the 50% rule, if it's below 50%, rebuild it, if it's above 50% to repair it, replace it.
What's the warranty on the new one?
The new one's 2 years, 2-year replacement, and then it's prorated for the next 3 years, and I don't know how they prorate this, but. So it's an insurance policy, and again, the pump's only gonna break on a high flow night on the 3rd of July or Labor Day. Yeah. And it's really, we gotta be prepared for it. I mean, we can't not have it, because in that situation, if we do call for a pump and they do have the right one sitting on the shelf, we're forced to spend 28,000 in emergency meeting sitting at this table with these people, so. That's what we're up against there, so.
So is this, I mean, based on the questions that you just raised, about in-service dates and all that kind of stuff, is this something that we're in a position to decide right now, or should we wait to get a little more information, especially if it's not something?
I think we motion for it because it's been sitting there for 6 months and we're ticking time bomb, like tonight, we could have a pump failure down there. And
Okay.
I don't know if
We
the
don't
other,
have that.
I don't know if the other 3 will keep up, I don't know the answer to that question, all right, I'm still learning this, but.
No.
The 3 may keep up, but we're still forced in a situation, that one's still gonna take time to get rebuilt. So we're not gonna have it, so we're still forced to spend 28.8 on a new one,
If we need it.
if we need it.
Okay, so the choice is essentially an $11,000 insurance policy and a $28,000 insurance policy.
Yes,
If there was an emergency, is there a place to rent?
I'm sure we can do like we did during the flooding, $8,000. But, again, somebody's gotta run, we gotta go do it.
Set up shelf, there is an emergency, be the rent. That's just often I done. That's what, during the flood, that's what we did.
So in all fairness, Tracy, I mean,
How they go?
it's been 6 months. I mean, we really gotta kind of move on this. I mean, we can keep kicking this can down the road, but. I'll tell you right now, we get to Christmas Eve and this thing fails and we didn't, I'm not.
The thing is, if it's Christmas Eve night, I mean, we're gonna find a pump that's 24/7, you're gonna go buy one.
Yeah.
I mean.
But I mean, this thing's still gotta get rebuilt anyway,
No,
right? So I mean, it's,
well, that's the thing.
He's gotta get.
if it happens on Christmas Eve, we're still.
Well, no, if we kick the can down the road another 30 days, then we got another 4 or 5 weeks to get it back to us, so.
What's the time frame on the repairs, do you know?
I thought it was 4 or 5 weeks. I think
It
it's.
says 4 to 6 weeks.
So if we actually get that pump and they say the warranty is only good for a year, we could actually put it in.
No, because the one we put, we had one brand new one. And we had a pump fail during the flooding and we put the new one in. So this, we've been kind of uninsured.
That was, so that's what I mean, if we get the thing and they say it's only 1 year from when you buy it. Then you could put it in.
So I would do the motion based on that it's a 1 year replacement, or 1 year warranty. Insert from in-service date, so because I really like to get this going, so if you want to put the stipulation in that, that we approve the repair of this pump. With the stipulation that the warranty is 1 year from the installation date.
What if they put a limit on 1 year? It's like, okay, that's good for.
And this is the business that these people are in.
These pumps are usually, they last quite a bit, usually they'll last a long time, they're not just cheap pumps, they're good.
This is for what amount?
It's $11,000.
There's one that says 10,708.
Yeah,
It's the same company.
Might look at me.
I'm broad stroking it and I apologize for it.
So, yeah, so Pester is 11,910. And the fleet pump is 10,708.
So that complicates it because the fleet pump says that they. Does fleet pump and service with $10,708, isn't it?
Yeah. Fleet pump and service, yeah, fleet pump, Mark can,
Yeah, and they have, it says they pulled it for us, so
and this is where it sits, is it this company?
I believe so, I don't know that for sure.
I believe they have it.
Yeah, it says that you have a serial number.
Yeah.
So 11,910 versus 10,708. And Fleet is the company that has it already.
Yeah.
And they took it out, it says?
Yeah, it says it here, it is.
I'll move to approve the 10,708 for the repair of the pump by Fleet.
I second.
With the
With the
stipulation.
stipulation, yeah, with a contingent on there being the year warranty from the in-service date versus the day we pick it up from them.
That's right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Your G items, wastewater plant, update, quotes, sludge tank, sludge pump.
So. We have a solid press, it's a screw press that dewaters our solids, the pump's no longer priming. I spoke with the pump manufacturer, BDP is the press manufacturer, but MXQ in Texas is the pump manufacturer. And I had a discussion, I was hoping to get an email, stating this, but BDPs are sole distributor in New York State. I called them to see if I could buy it from them, and I called them to see if there's any distributors I could buy the pump from, and they told me not. No, so the good thing about this pump is it's small enough they can overnight. They have 4 of them in stock in Texas, so if he doesn't have one on the shelf, we can have it in a day. Our press is in need of new wipers and keepers, so basically, and I went to Williamson yesterday, they were installing wipers and keepers on their screw press, which is the same as ours. They had one more piece above it, but they had the same pump and same setup. And ours, you have to take a lot apart to get into those keepers and wipers, but the goal is to have John and Josh watch them do it. And then next time we'll just buy the parts and do it ourselves. So that needs to be done regardless. And then our pump is no longer priming. As these pumps wear, they're harder and harder to prime because they lose their suction ability. So we're to the point where we can't press our solids right now. So our $185,000 that was in 2019 press is not working.
Is that because of the wipers?
No, the wipers are the process, and this screw pump brings the the material to that chamber where the wipers are. So it dewaters and it pushes these solids up in this chamber, and there's this giant screw with these. It's like a screw with these rubber wipers, and there's these real fine serrated, it looks like a cheese grater, but very fine. And it kind of just works those solids and takes the water out of it and then conveyors it into our trail. So and I asked them, you know, should we rebuild this pump? And he said, well, it could use a stator. We could chase parts on it. It can be rebuilt. But he said the parts, the aggregate of the parts and then chasing it down, you know, replacing this part and testing it, it probably the aggregate of the parts is gonna be more than the wet end.
You don't want it there.
No, but we will keep this pump and we'll investigate that and I spoke with the people in Williamson too, and they, you know, these pumps wear because of the abrasiveness of the material that goes through them, so. They tell us over time that it's pushing less material per day, so there's, you know, the
Oh,
life
okay.
cycle. The second end of this quote is Williamson has an 80,000 gallon tank that they pump the sludge from their digester to this holding tank, and they've got a lot more flow. They have 2,100 customers.
I was hearing that today.
Yeah, where we have water meters, we have what, 743 and then 928, I think, totally to use, but either way, so let's use the number 723. So we're about a third of what they're doing, so we don't press as much. But basically what they're doing, instead of pumping the pump by having this auxiliary tank at the same grade as their pump, it's flooding the pump and they have enough head pressure from their tank. The problem we have is tank is over here, the piping's going underground, coming straight up into the building, and then it goes all the way up to the ceiling, probably 14 feet, and then 60 foot across the ceiling, and then back down to the pump. There's been talk about lowering that stuff from the ceiling and bringing it down and then cutting a hole in the wall and running it through. And we could try and do that. But every time you dry prime these pumps, and we do have a water source to wet prime it, but we're trying to siphon this material up to the ceiling and get it siphoning back down to the pump. If you've ever tried to siphon gas out of a tank, you know, that's basically
Going over a hill.
Well, yeah, you're trying to get it over a hill, and you know, when the pump's new, it can do that, but you're wearing on it every time. You know, if you lose siphon and it runs dry for a second, you're prematurely wearing it, and maybe not a second, but
How old is it?
so the machine went in 2019, I believe. The pump itself says 2018, so it's probably built in 18 and installed between 18 and 19. There's been like plausible deniability as far as, you know, the design. I mean, anybody who knows anything about priming pumps walks in there and goes, yeah, this isn't really the right way to do it. The manufacturer BDP, when we called them, they actually had some notes in their file that it wasn't ideal, the plumbing setup, so. But it was so long ago, you know, we can't, it's kind of like the Ready
Yeah.
project. We can't pin the tail on the donkey. We just have to
No.
fix it and move forward. So,
Which,
in talks with, and it was kind of by chance that Elliott Engineering was here today. And we had some conversations, and both Elliott Engineering and the manufacturer of the pump. And, you know, this is kind of, it's almost like a common sense thing, but it's always better if a pump is flooded with material versus trying to prime and create suction. If the material is automatically flowing to it, it's easier to run as a thing, whereas, you know, our guys have been spending 1, 2, 3, 4 hours trying to get this thing to prime. And we're eating hours. We're not getting a job done. Right now, we can't prime, so we can't press any solids. It's the off season, so we're not in dire need yet. But spring's gonna come, so. So we need to, first thing is approve BDP's quote and their sole supplier. Stuff there with them, proprietary equipment. The pump manufacturer, you know, I went in and took pictures of the pump to get the tag off it, and I called, you know, I did the research to call the manufacturer and do the due diligence as far as, you know, can we buy the pump somewhere else? You know, it's not something we can just punch in on Amazon and get. So, you know, that's where we're at. So it's proprietary.
what's in
So the pump's like $6,300. Got mobilization, round trip travel, $1,000. I mean, these guys are coming from Greenwich, New York. So, you know, our other option is you know, and $1,000 in mobilization, we can have them come out for $1,000. And troubleshoot the whole thing, and then we gotta pay them to come back and
Another,
another $1,000. I mean, we can, you know, we can extend this, or right now, we just can't press our solids, so. We're not in dire need yet, but we're gonna, they're decanning the water off
And you're thinking
the.
about saving that pump and then maybe we could. repair
We
the
can
pump.
investigate that and really chase down the parts, and if someone look at it that knows better than I, and, you know. This other pump, they will wear out over time, depending on the material going through it, if we go the next step and we buy a 5,000 gallon sludge tank and we have it above grade outside the building. And then buy this other pump to pump it up to the sludge tank, basically a 5,000 gallon sludge tank will give us enough material to run the press for a day. So we would fill that tank. And then press everything in that tank, and then if you can, with the next day, we fill that tank again. And press everything in that tank.
And the tank of the 5,000 gallon
Would flood.
tank would prime the pump itself because
Yeah.
it's above grade.
You know, you add water to that line? Like,
Well, they have a water setup to wet prime the pump, but it's like, we're trying to suck all the air out of that. Like, I don't know when we open that valve from the head pressure from the tank.
can it go on automatically, that valve of water? You know what I'm saying? You know, that was always pressurized. You know, when
We consulted
Well, like
with an
a
engineer to
boiler.
put the system in, somebody designed this system to put in, engineers, and as we've seen engineers. That's right, I'm going with the common sense approach, if we put a 5,000 gallon, let's call it a surge tank. Above our press, that's gravity flowing to the press, it's kind of. It's a no-brainer, it's, you know, there's no fail safe there.
So we got a lot of moving parts here,
Yeah.
okay, let's
Yeah.
back up 1 second. So we're still dealing with last year's report, which hasn't been dealt with, and apparently we've replaced equipment. This all happened before our coming on. What did Bob Elliott say? I mean, we need to reach out to people who are, you know, an engineer.
So I reached out
And
to
how
Bob.
is this gonna impact, you know, our permits, our operating permits going forward, and what we're kind of in gray area right at the moment? I mean, you sound like it's a common sense and it sounds great, but I wanna hear you got a lot of things here and a lot of money. And I mean,
Spent a lot of time on it, so I spoke with the Elliott Engineering and. And this goes back to when this was installed, he never closed the loop, I had heard that report, he never closed the loop and notified the DEC, so. That was one of the things we were cited on that August 2024 report, so. I reached out to him to finish that up. And as long as he's doing that, and we have this thought in the system or the design of the system, I asked him to do this at the same time and get the approval if we needed to put the sludge tank in. And to change our flow to this pump, because it'll work when it's new. But not flooding it is probably killing half the life of the pump, and that was from the manufacturer and. They can't guarantee it because depending on how much sand in our solids and all, you know, with the abrasiveness of the material and everything, but. Both Elliott Engineering and the pump manufacturer were in concert as far as if you know, it's much better to flood a pump than try and prime a pump. So that was, you know,
yeah,
they were
I'm
in
not
concert. on that.
disputing that. I'm looking at all these things, and it's like, it seems to me that we are now changing our design once again.
Well, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a result. And I'm
I'm
saying,
not saying we're gonna do the same thing, I'm just.
although I came up with the solution. Actually, I didn't come up with the solution. Williamson has the solution. That's how they're handling this. So we have an example right up the road. They have the same pump. And they're doing the same thing that I'm proposing to do here, which Josh brought this to me. He's like, I'm like, what's the solution to this? And the pump manufacturer says it should effectively double the lifespan of the pump. Our computer was reprogrammed at one point in time and it's showing 659 hours on the press. But the notes at BDP says we have 3,500 hours on there. So if we can effectively double the hours that are on that pump, it should be 7,000 hours instead of 3,500 hours.
what's the quote for the sludge tank?
How much?
Yeah,
It's, we got a number of them. I got 3 quotes, around $6,700.
and
And the pump,
the pump,
it's about $2,000. We've got a couple options. I like the diaphragm pump. Yeah, so our lowest quote from National Tank is 63.90. And then, J.C. Smith has the diaphragm pump for 19.99. I'm waiting, I was waiting on a few more quotes, they just didn't get here, but those are the two quotes I was able to obtain. And these are two different pumps, one's a crash pump, which can handle a smaller, size solids, and the other one, the J.C. Smith pump, is a diaphragm pump.
So when we look at these two things, I'm gonna come across as emergent right now, all right? Because our goal is to try to, if we could do something within the budget and not go from reserves, as you know, that's our goal. It sounds like that the E is is emergent at, what, 11,960 right now?
Yeah, we need to do that in a while.
Yeah, and so maybe we can, hold off on this from a budgetary standpoint. But it's on our radar because he's on it, you know.
I mean, the longer we run it without that, more wear and tears on it.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's up
Let
to
us-
or we know that it worked.
Let us look at maybe some other funding source.
And I was, you know, I thought about.
But I want to not do if we can, not pull out of reserves, but
Okay.
You're saying that the pipe goes 14 feet in the air and. goes
Yeah.
through the
Yeah, so
way?
what our,
Why can't we lower that down?
so the proposal is that if there's a T that they turned up, it's 45 degrees down to feed the old press pump. And the thought is to lower that line from the ceiling, so John and I talked about it, and Josh, he's willing to do it, unbolt that flange, turn it 45 degrees, and then replumb it lower. So we're not having to draw that other extra in.
No,
8 or 10 feet. Bob Elliott didn't seem to think that was a big deal. And he's an engineer. This pump has a 25-foot head suction, meaning vertical straight out. It'll pump stuff that's 25 foot down below it.
Right.
We're not really doing that. So I think if we replumb it and take that 8 foot of draw out of it, we might win. We might not, but and it's dependent on how much we have in our digester too, which is the head pressure pushing it. It's kind of the same problem we have in the Heights. with our
Right now, we're a
supply.
little low, right?
No, we're 2 or 3 feet from the top. We're not pressing. We normally, so historically, the conversation we had today is because our flows are so low in the winter, nobody's really here. We don't usually press all winter, which isn't ideal. So he was wavering back and forth a little bit. He goes, well, you guys, normally, he's like trying to take the urgency out of doing something today. Because you don't normally press in the winter, but it's not necessarily good to let that material settle in the winter like that. So even though, there's air agitating it and but, and that's where we're at. We got $186,000 piece of equipment that's not running right now. So
Have you reached out to, I'm not that familiar, there's a rural water organization, rural water, you know?
just learned about it. I mean, the job like.
Yeah. I think there's, somebody in Sodas too, what? Yeah, somebody in Sodas too, and stuff like this too, right?
John, am I missing anything in this that you can add?
No, we met with the guys from Sodas and they suggested using rural waters as a resource for free. We're not gonna do either. We have numerous things we could use them for, so we're gonna do that either way.
Yep.
But definitely, like Bill said, the pump, I mean, that has to be, we have to have that, and then we're gonna go. We're gonna try and lower this pipe and see what happens, but
Yeah.
if that's not the solution, then we need to move to, a different solution.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we did our
That
tour
was
today.
investment. And so does, if you want to reach out to them, they're always willing to help. And they both, their plant is similar. It's not the same as ours, but they run it fairly well.
So to get us up and running, we need a new pump.
Well, we need to replace the wipers. As part of the process with the maintenance item and something. Periodically, we have to replace this too, so. As long as they're
Tank a
coming,
little later, we do the tank a little.
we could do the tank a little later, like this system worked when the pump was brand new.
Right.
But as it got tired, it was harder and harder to find something, now it doesn't.
So you're thinking that you do the 2,000? When we're looking at this item, not do.
No, you do the 11,000 or the 12,505 is.
Okay,
That's what we need motion on.
yeah, let's
So
do that.
the other pump would be The feed it.
Yeah,
that tank.
yeah,
That other
yeah.
tank you need.
We'll work on that down the road. Good,
Yeah.
So we can bring it, you know,
bring it up.
Yeah.
so we'll just.
Neighbor here.
I tried to do all the legwork, I told you,
You're good.
I've been watching these meetings and see people come unprepared with not enough quotes. Oh, I think it is happening, I'm just doing the due diligence.
I don't think we should let it slip. I think we should.
Matt, did you make a motion for this, who made the motion?
For the E. For the,
Oh, it's this right here.
Is
you guys
this one?
did,
Did somebody make a motion or no?
yeah.
I make the motion.
I don't think anybody.
I'll
made
let
a
Phil
motion.
make the motion.
I make the motion, we accept the BDP bid in its entirety so that we can replace the wipers in the pump and get our press working.
I said,
All in favor?
I,
I don't think there's any further discussion.
yeah, we're good. Gotta get done.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Clerk treasurer, you gotta pay the bills.
Bills 12-1 through 12-42 totaling $143,909.81. General fund 84,639.35. Water 21,483.09 and wastewater 37,787.37.
I make a motion that we pay the bill.
Nice to start on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And then there's also a motion or sorry, resolution. And we need to remove Dave McDowell and put in add Pat Nolan to our bank account. So this is just a resolution that Lions National is requesting authorizing the mayor, that I just wrote on here, with the election, he was elected, sworn in officially on December 2nd. At the organizational meeting as finance officer and remove, hereby result that we change David McDowell and be removed and add Pat Nolan.
Motion,
So moved.
motion that, oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Motion is second.
Motion that we have, that Pat Nolan is our LB.
No. Yeah, Melanie.
Being nothing.
Alright, so
All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Yeah, we have to do it.
It's some tax.
It's.
It's,
I'm good with it. I'm good. We can do the right thing.
yeah,
Yeah, but let's see how things went with what we used and,
get some information and
Yeah,
then
we're fine.
we'll bring it up. Is that okay?
that's not fine.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then the other thing, so just so you all know, in the back of the packet. There's it's the draft. It's the audit from the auditors for the
Yeah.
audit ending May 31st, 2025. So if you just wanna look through that, we can't, it's something if everybody, I mean, if anybody has any questions, let me know. If not, then it's just something that the board has to approve before they'll give us our. Non-draft copy.
So that we can do next month. We'll
Yeah.
take a look at it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so just
Thanks,
please
Christie.
pull that out and look at it.
Sure.
Look at it to next month.
Great.
Good.
Okay, so
I move to adjourn our December
Second.
meeting.
Second.